Ooh-wee. We messed around and found a diamond in the rough here. After all others have failed, we had to turn to DC's director, Zack Snyder. Now, even though Justice League sucked, even though his director cut sucked, we struck gold with this animated series. We also know he's trying to make a name for himself, Gambit voice, and he definitely did with this one. We know he's planning to do a Batman anime later this year, so with this being an appetizer, I am not upset. Twilight of the Gods animated series review, let's go. So, in Twilight of the Gods, we touch down in the Nordic Viking lore with a few familiar characters and many whose names we will eventually know. Of course, we've got Thor, Loki, and Odin, but we got new characters like Leif, Sigrid, and Baldur. The two gods, Thor and Loki, have notoriously been each other's necks since the dawn of time, and this animated adaptation does not shy away from that. Here on Earth, during the Nordic Viking era, we come across a king, Leif, who is doing what Vikings do: slaughter, pillaging, and conquering. One day out on the pasture of murder, he bites off a little bit more than he can chew, and this woman, Sigrid, ends up saving his life. She legit comes out of nowhere. We have no context, we have no background on her, but she comes through and she saves the king. She's redheaded, tatted, ribbed hairstyle, and look of the face of determination. Well, that's all you need for a good start to a Viking lore. And again, since it's Zack Snyder, we know it's going to be dark. And on the side, in this animated series on Netflix, they be straight cream pie. I'm talking not safe for work type shit. Wieners, boobs, and much, much more. It's low-key some hentai action. I don't understand or how Netflix got the green light, but they did, and it definitely works. They have a few hints of cyberpunk and some other animated series, but they for sure push it to the edge, no pun intended, and the boys go for it. So, as typical with Nordic lore, after a nice violent night of coitus, Leif and Sigrid have found love. This of course escalates, and Leif begins his ideas and ideations to wed her. Well, after meeting her family and father, who are giants by the way, they are rudely interrupted by the thunder god, Thor. So, this 8-episode series kicks off a pure fury, and this man Thor is unhinged. We've seen him on the big screen with Marvel and some other iterations of animated series like God of War Ragnarok, but we have never seen him like this. He is a pure menace. Thor in this series is drunk, unhinged, and a psychopath, and I am really here for it because he is truly the God of War in this animated series. This man and his hammer upon the entrance scene is one of the greatest murder scenes of all time. I'm talking Game of Thrones Red Wedding type shit. So, Sigrid, freshly wedded, will never forget this day, and it is immensely sorrow and sad. She is so sorry that she gives her into her desires, and she ends up being succumbed to hell, where she is met by the god of mischief, Loki. Zack Snyder's iteration loosely holds true. We end up finding out Loki is also called the Blame God, which is a cool take and an extension of the lore. Anyways, just like Sigrid, his ultimate goal is to take out Thor and Odin so they can return to the heavens and live amongst the other gods. And those two make a pact and it gets pushed forward. So after returning from the underworld, Sigrid is completely gone. She is no longer herself. Leif, who has been searching all night as a true husband should, is sitting there scared and frantic. Once she comes back, she is determined essentially because she sold her soul to Loki. And from here on out, her only focus in life is to get revenge for her entire family who was slaughtered on her wedding day. And thus the lore and adventure begins. So she goes the Nordic version and goes to the land of Styx. And she finds the king of the doors, which is Andarvi. This manlet cuck also has it out for the gods, but he is very useful because he makes god killer weapons. Super cool name, by the way. He mentions that you also have to have full intent or your body will essentially be one for one. Meaning, if you just follow the herd, once you die, glory or not, your body will return to the underworld. Very dark. Like I said, they really do be getting down in this show. Everybody is busting nuts. It seems every one of our main characters gets a little piece of ass. Well, with that being said, the vast amount of this gods is very everlasting. The show seems to be everlasting. I never thought about this, but in all the lore, even in the Game of Thrones, they always praise the old gods and the new. Well, in Zack Snyder's version, they did a very good job about introducing us to what that actually means, and that is showing us all of the old gods. And on their lore, they do find the old gods. Amongst their journey, they come across this village. Essentially, it's an entrance to try to find a girl who is a key to getting them to the old gods. That old god is a pretty cool lore, but the lady who introduced them is Thyra. She's a prisoner who they eventually release, and that is the person who's going to link them directly to the old gods. She was bait to see if they were going to be good people or not, and Leaf, being an honorable person, can't pass her up. He frees her. Now, Loki is definitely widening his little dirty hands all over the place. We can't see that as the audience, but as the episodes continue, you will get to see how he put her into place to play with them into the old gods. This definitely caught me off guard, and it was hype because I could not predict what was going to happen. And as we continue to try to find Odin and Thor, we continue on and the squad marches on. They finally make it to the heavens, but before the final battle, they have to stick to the Nordic lore to a T. I respect how he can take his own take on with this lore, like with Loki, Thor, Odin, giants, and other types of gods, but still paying homage to the traditional lore. I really do enjoy that. And just like in the traditional Nordic lore, before battle, these boys get high and the eternal gangbang begins. It's crazy, but it's funny because you gotta look. In true Nordic lore back in the day, you would fight harder for your battle buddy if you loved them. And the only way that you love somebody? Coitus. This encompasses an emotional attachment because you have laid in bed with them the night before. And of course, out of everybody who's gonna lay in bed, it's gonna be his wife Sigrid and the person who they brought into the bed with them, Thyra. Leaf, you lucky son of a bitch. But they continue to play mind games and 4D chess. So, Sigrid, fueled by anger and hate, she has double intentions upon this. She brings Thyra essentially in to take her place. Now, she knows that Leaf has a good heart, and that's why he released her. She also knows that it's common before battle for everybody to lay together. She chose Thyra to come in there because he released her, he has a soft spot for her, and it's a double-edged sword. So after the nice cream pie sesh, Leaf wakes up and is ready for war, but he sees that she is gone and only Thyra remains. They both understand that they have been betrayed by Sigrid, and we know that Sigrid's ultimate goal is revenge, and she will not be happy until she dies. It is very selfish, but you have to admire the dedication and admiration to her cause to get revenge for her family. This show kept me on my toes. I randomly found it this past Sunday. It came out on a Friday. I found out about it Sunday, and I finished it Sunday night. It's going to run you about 4 hours, so you can definitely do it any day of the week. I was just completely enthralled. Now, I'm going to leave episode 8 up to you all because some more crazy shit happens, and it's amazing. There are some really good takeaways that we got to take from this animated series. First of all, it is balls to the wall and pedal to the metal the entire time. They were on offense the entire series. They weren't worried about building up a whole 10-season long series that's going to make them millions of dollars. It was a one-series show, and they went for it. Other shows really need to follow suit, and they need to have more type of lore, whether it's Greek, Nordic, Asian, any type of Native American. We need more lore like this where it's balls to the wall. We do have Blood of Zeus and other shows like that, but let's be honest. I did a review. It's going to be coming out soon. Season 2 of Blood of Zeus fell off. Twilight of the Gods, on the other hand, it reminds me of Blood of Zeus Season 1 out of how hard in the paint they went. Also, the creativity to tell the lore but in your own interpretation. But they still hold those core values. It was done very well. I'm hyped that Zack Snyder is hopping on this animated series train. I'm going to watch the animated series of Batman. He needs to be behind it. It needs to be rated R. They need to show gore, murder, sex, everything. That's what grabs our attention. And if Netflix is going to be the new hub to anime, I'm with it. That's the review. Tell me if you've watched it. Comment below. Like, subscribe. Be on the lookout for the Blood of Zeus review coming very soon. I'll holler at y'all in the next video.